The alien courtroom was silent. Every eye turned toward the heavy stone doors as they opened with a deep sound. Thick air filled the hall, and glowing torches flickered on the tall walls. Powerful alien leaders sat on raised thrones carved from dark crystal. They were the rulers of 10 star systems, all gathered in one place for judgment. Then, a soft click echoed across the floor. Heels, sharp and steady, tapped on the metal tiles. A young human woman walked into the room wearing a black suit. No armor, no weapons, no guards. Just a calm face, straight posture, and eyes that didn't blink. She looked too small for the place, too soft for the weight of war. But still, she walked with no fear. The guards gripped their plasma rifles tightly, unsure if they should stop her. She passed them like smoke, untouched. The alien leaders whispered among themselves, confused and angry. "Where is the ambassador?" one growled. "She is the ambassador," said the tall Zarek judge, reading from the data chip. The hall fell into silence again. She reached the middle of the courtroom and placed a small metal briefcase on the stone table. Then she looked up. 7 words left her mouth, clear and sharp like a blade. "I speak for Earth and I decide." Shock ran through the room. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't bow like others had before. She just claimed the right to speak and declared it without hesitation. One of the alien warlords, thick-skinned and red-eyed, stood from his chair. "You are just a child," he said with a growl. "You think you can command this court?" She didn't answer him. Instead, she opened the briefcase with a soft beep. A small orb floated out, glowing blue and white. It spun in the air and showed a map of stars, marked with red lights. The red lights showed every system Earth now had influence in, over 50 stars. A silent message, louder than any speech. She walked around the table slowly, hands behind her back. "Earth will no longer be silent," she said. "We offered peace, but you gave us chains. You called us weak, and we endured. You called us pests, and we adapted. You called us prey, and we became predators." Now her voice echoed in the chamber like thunder. She stopped and faced the court again. "No more deals," she said. "No more lies. Earth does not beg." The orb changed and showed images of alien war crimes, hidden records, stolen data, ships destroyed in secret. "How do you have this?" one alien leader shouted. The woman tilted her head slightly, a cold smile forming. "Earth listens," she replied, "even when others don't see us." Gasps and angry shouts filled the court. One alien leader slammed his fist on the chair. "This is blackmail," he said. "This is truth," the woman said simply. The orb faded, and the briefcase closed. She folded her hands in front of her and waited. The court now stared at her, not with laughter or hate, but with a new emotion they never expected to feel toward a human: fear. The silence in the alien courtroom was not peace, it was pressure, like the moment before a storm. The human woman stood still, her hands folded, her face calm, but the room was boiling under the surface. Alien warlords whispered in angry tones. Some insulted her in their native languages, others tried to study her as if she were a puzzle they couldn't solve. She tapped the side of the briefcase again, and a new image appeared above the orb. It was not a weapon, not a threat. It was a choice. 2 paths glowing in red and green, branching from the same star cluster. "This is not a deal," she said quietly. "This is a mirror." The room went still again, unsure of what she meant. "Path 1, she said, and the green branch glowed brighter. "Shared growth, open trade, technology exchange. Earth's medicine can cure 3 of your dying species. Our AI can rebuild your failing colonies. Our food systems can feed your starving moons." Some aliens leaned forward, curious now. Even the bitter ones paused to listen. She raised one hand and the green light faded. Then the red branch burned brighter. "Path 2, she said, is silence. Closed ports, blocked travel, encrypted trade. No more medical aid, no more Earth ships in your space. And if you take what is not given, then Earth will not answer with words." One alien stood, furious. "You dare come here and give us ultimatums? We are older than your son. We ruled before your people learned fire." The woman nodded slowly, but her face did not show fear. "Yes," she said, "you ruled, but your time of ruling is over. Now you must choose what comes next." Another alien, a thin one with skin like crystal, clicked his teeth in warning. "What makes you think Earth will survive without us?" The woman stepped forward, her voice steady. "We already have," she said. "While you were busy hitting each other over dead stars. Earth built bridges to living ones. We watched you burn treaties and break alliances, and we learned what not to become. Some of the council members exchanged glances. This wasn't how humans usually spoke. No begging, no apologies, no weakness, just cold clarity and facts. The woman stepped aside and motioned to the orb again. This isn't blackmail, she said. It's exposure. We know your secrets, but we will not use them, unless you give us a reason. One of the warlords laughed, trying to break the tension. Empty threats, he said. You don't have the power. The orb shifted again. Now it showed a list of over 50 alien species that had already signed with Earth in secret. Their seals and signatures hovered above their flags. Some of them were allies of the court right now. Gasps filled the air. How? Whispered one voice in the back. The woman's eyes scanned the room slowly. We didn't build empires, she said. We built friendships. You were too busy showing strength. We were busy showing respect. Another pause followed, heavy and long. Then she said something that cut deeper than any weapon. You don't fear Earth's weapons, she said. You fear Earth's ideas. And you should. One of the warlords stood up and roared. His voice shook the ancient walls of the courtroom. He was General Threx of the Gorvan Empire, a warrior who had never known defeat. His skin was thick and scaled like a living shield, his eyes burning yellow like twin suns. I will not be lectured by a soft-skinned human, he growled. We settle things with strength, not words. He pointed at her with a clawed finger. Trial by challenge, he shouted. Let her prove herself by our way. The other aliens stirred. Some smiled, thinking it would end the human problem quickly. Others looked away, ashamed but silent. The woman didn't flinch. She calmly took off her suit jacket, folded it neatly, and placed it beside the briefcase. Accepted, she said. The guards moved quickly, opening the stone gates to the combat ring behind the throne. The ring was ancient, scarred with past battles and still stained from the last duel. Threx entered first, his armor clicking into place, heavy with pride and power. Then the woman stepped in, barefoot, no armor, no weapon, just her simple white shirt and dark pants. The crowd watched in silence, waiting for blood. The horn sounded. Threx rushed forward with a roar, claws wide, teeth bared. He moved like a beast, wild and fast. She didn't move until the last second. Then she slipped to the side like a shadow and let him pass her. She tapped his back as he stumbled. He growled and turned fast, swinging with rage. But again she avoided him without effort. Her movements were strange, smooth and sharp, not like a soldier but like a dancer. What is this? Someone whispered from the gallery. She's not even fighting, another said. But Threx was getting slower now. His rage made him clumsy, and she kept moving, always one step ahead. Then she struck. Not with fists, but with pressure points. Quick jabs to the side of his neck, his joints, behind his knees. She wasn't trying to hurt him. She was breaking the machine that was his body. Piece by piece, Threx dropped to one knee, panting hard, his armor now a burden, his strength draining. She stood in front of him, untouched. You fight with anger, she said softly. I fight with knowledge. He tried one last attack, a desperate swing. She caught his wrist with both hands and twisted until he fell completely, flat on his back, gasping. She placed one foot lightly on his chest. I don't need to kill you, she said. I just need you to see. Then she stepped away. The ring was silent. The council was silent. Even the torches seemed to burn more softly now. No one knew what to say. Not because she won, but because she did it with grace, with patience, with understanding of her enemy. Not once had she raised her voice or showed anger. Not once had she looked afraid, and that made them fear her more than any blade ever could. The courtroom was still in shock as she stepped out of the combat ring. Her shirt was a little wrinkled, but her breath was calm. She picked up her suit jacket and put it on like nothing had happened. The alien guards moved aside without being told. Even General Threx, who once believed only strength deserved respect, now sat quietly nursing his pride. But she did not gloat. She simply walked back to the stone table and placed her hands on the metal briefcase once more. Then, with a slow breath, she opened it again. This time, the orb floated higher and changed color. Its soft glow turned into a deep green and began to project layers of data into the air above the courtroom. Thousands of lines of code maps, energy paths, and signals danced in the air like stars. The aliens leaned in confused by what they saw. This is ancient data, whispered the insectoid ambassador of Vraxa. This pattern is from before the Galactic Treaty was signed, said another. Yes, the woman replied softly. These are files recovered from the ruins of the First Empire. The empire your people erased from the records. Whispers turned to gasps. The First Empire was a legend, something told in secret between old scholars and hidden archives. No one truly believed it existed anymore, but the symbols floating in front of them were too real, too detailed, too precise. They were not destroyed by time, the woman said. They were erased by you. The orb spun again, showing images of deep tunnels carved into dead moons, old machines still running silent and dark for thousands of years. You found their ruins and feared their knowledge, she said. So you buried it and pretended you were the first. But Earth was listening. A low hum vibrated through the court as the orb began to pulse with soft sound. Now it was showing something new, a map of hidden communication routes between major powers, channels not listed in any public records, used for secret deals, smuggling, and silent wars. How do you have this? One alien asked in fear. The woman tilted her head slightly. Your encryption methods are based on sound waves, she said. But Earth uses light. You didn't even know we were watching. The image zoomed in on one red dot blinking on the map. This is your prison moon at Sector 12, she said. Inside is a being from the First Empire, still alive. That broke the silence completely. Shouts exploded in the room. One warlord stood up in panic while another demanded a break in session. The woman said nothing. She just waited for the wave of fear to wash over them. Then she tapped the orb and everything disappeared. The air was empty again, but the silence had changed. Now it was filled with danger and uncertainty. You erased history to control the future, she said. But Earth kept the pieces you threw away. And now we know who you really are. She closed the briefcase with a soft click and looked around slowly. Choose your next words carefully, she added, because you are not the only ones listening anymore. And though she stood alone at the center of the room, surrounded by powerful beings older and bigger than her, at that moment she looked like the only one who truly belonged there. The council chamber no longer felt like a place of power. It felt like a cage where truths could no longer be kept hidden. The human woman stood still while the alien leaders whispered in panic. Some denied her words. Others asked for private meetings. A few stared at her with fear, as if seeing the beginning of something they couldn't stop. The high speaker of the court finally rose from his seat. He was old even by alien standards, with silver skin and golden veins pulsing through his arms. Enough, he said in a heavy voice. This court will enter a trial of truth. The room went quiet. It was a rare rule only used when a matter threatened the entire Galactic Council. Each party would present their evidence, and the ancient records would decide what was real. It was sacred. It was binding, and no one had ever imagined a human would invoke it. The woman nodded slowly, as if she expected this. Two floating drones entered the chamber from opposite sides and activated a glowing ring of light in the center of the floor. The room darkened except for the pulsing blue glow of the circle. One by one, alien leaders stepped forward with their truths, speeches glowing with pride and power. They spoke of galactic unity, of law, of history written in stone. They called her a threat, a manipulator, a mistake. She said nothing until they were done. Then she stepped into the circle and opened her briefcase one last time. But this time the orb did not show data. It showed people, faces, hundreds of them. Aliens from broken colonies left behind by the Council. Survivors from refugee planets ignored by the Great Alliances. Children from abandoned research stations and mining worlds. They spoke in their own languages, but the meaning was clear. They spoke of Earth ships arriving with food and medicine, of human engineers repairing life support when no one else woke. You'd respond, of learning and hope and kindness from strangers who asked for nothing in return. This is my truth, the woman said quietly. No numbers, no charts. Just stories that you tried to erase. They remember who helped them. They remember who didn't. The lights shifted again, showing the logos of alien corporations involved in illegal mining and hidden slave labor. Council members gasped and turned pale as their own trade routes and secret dealings were exposed. The orb showed signed orders marked confidential, hidden behind 1,000 firewalls now revealed in seconds. One alien tried to run from the chamber, but the doors were sealed. This is not war, she said. This is exposure. The galaxy doesn't need new rulers. It needs those in power to answer for what they've done. The ring of light under her feet turned green, the mark of verified truth, and then it turned red under the feet of 3 council members who had lied. The courtroom was no longer judging her, it was judging itself, and for the first time in generations, the great alien court felt shame. As the last light from the orb faded, the courtroom fell into silence again. But this silence was different. Not the cold silence of fear or the heavy silence of shock. This was the silence of something ancient awakening. From the far corner of the council hall, a shadow moved. He had been sitting there the entire time, unmoving, almost forgotten by the others. His name was known only as the One Who Whispered. He was old beyond time, older than the current empires, older than the council itself. Most believed he had taken a vow of silence centuries ago, only watching, never speaking. But now his golden eyes opened fully, and his voice filled the chamber like wind through stone. "Do you see now?" he said. His voice was soft, but it carried across the entire room, reaching every corner like truth itself. The woman turned her head slowly to face him, but did not bow. "You were waiting for this," she said quietly. The Ancient One nodded once. "I have waited for someone not born from the stars, but shaped by fire and will. A mind not corrupted by the thirst for control. She is not here for war," he said to the court. "She is here to test whether you are still worthy of holding power." The leaders shifted in their seats, some offended, some uncertain. "You speak of prophecy," one council member sneered. "I speak of consequence," the old being replied. "For too long this court ruled by fear disguised as law. For too long you called cruelty, order, and silence peace." The woman stepped forward toward the circle again, but this time not to present data or threat. This time she simply stood in the light and let it judge her again. The circle remained green. The One Who Whispered looked at the others with eyes like ancient stars. "You thought the test would come with fire and death," he said. "But it came in a suit with questions and quiet steps." He then looked at the woman. "You carry more than Earth's voice," he said. "You carry a mirror for all of us." The council members sat in silence now, faces pale and hands still. The old being stepped down from his hidden place for the first time in thousands of years. He walked toward the woman slowly, his feet making no sound. When he reached her, he did not bow or kneel. He simply nodded once and said, "I will speak for her." Gasps filled the hall. The One Who Whispered had never spoken for anyone before. Now even those who hated her began to feel doubt, not because of what she said, but because of who stood beside her. The woman looked around the room, her voice calm and level. "Earth was not made to conquer stars," she said. "We were made to survive them, and we will not take your throne. We will build something beside it, if you let us." The old one turned to the court once more. "This is not your final warning," he said. "This is your final invitation." And with that, the fate of the galaxy no longer rested in power or weapons. It now rested in a question asked by a woman in a suit, and answered by every species in that room. The chamber doors remained shut, not by force but by choice. No one dared to leave, not after what they had seen, not after what they had heard. The human woman stood silent as the old being now called. The One Who Whispered returned to his seat. The light around her still glowed green, soft but firm, like a quiet verdict. The council was frozen between fear and decision. She gave them no more speeches, no more proof. Now the weight was on them. One by one, the alien leaders looked to each other uncertain. Then the first one stood, a soft-spoken delegate from the aquatic worlds of Ralthine. She stepped forward, lowered her eyes and said, "Ralthine chooses to walk beside Earth." She returned to her seat. Then another stood, then two more, then a row of 7. They did not bow and they did not kneel. They simply spoke their choice to rise with her, not against her. But not all agreed. A massive warlord from the outer systems rose and shouted, "This is weakness disguised as peace." He slammed his fist on the stone desk. "Earth has no place on this council. She came with no army, no empire, only words." But his voice cracked at the end, and he knew it. Because deep inside he had seen something terrifying in her calm, something unshakable. Others began to argue. Old rivals, new allies lost trust, now facing a new future. The chamber boiled with noise again, but the woman did not speak. She just waited. And while they argued, while they shouted, the orb in her case pulsed once more. Not red, not green, but gold. A new light that none of them had seen before. The One Who Whispered leaned forward slowly. "The court has always judged others," he said, "but now it must judge itself. The human does not demand a seat. She offers a mirror, and some of you cannot bear to look." The arguing slowed. The woman took one small step forward and set her fin. "All words. Earth is not perfect," she said. "We are still growing, still learning. But we do not hide from truth. And if you wish to rise with us, then stand now, or sit and fade like the empires before you." That was all. No threat, no demand, just a line drawn across time. And then it happened. The chamber lights dimmed as a seal appeared in the center of the floor, a circle of symbols spinning slowly in gold light. It was not from Earth and not from the Council. It was from the First Empire. A protocol lost in time, now reactivated by her presence. It had only one function, to mark the beginning of something new. Every leader who stood was added to the seal. Everyone who refused was left out. No war was needed. No vote was forced. The seal glowed brighter, then faded into the floor, leaving a single mark behind, a symbol combining Earth's first flag with the spiral of the stars. The woman picked up her case and turned to leave. No applause followed her steps, only silence, a silence full of change, full of understanding, full of what comes next. She walked through the court the same way she entered, alone, silent, unarmed. But this time, the doors opened wide and stayed open long after she had gone, because everything had changed, and everyone knew it.